So we've come to the last talk of this Rohatsu sesshin, our first hybrid retreat at Mountain Cloud. Yesterday in guiding, Henry said, "The silence knows how to undo us." Silence knows better than words. Zen is clear about that. The heart we touch, the reality we explore and discover in this practice is beyond words and letters. A few days before this retreat began, I spoke on a koan that addresses what is called that matter and ends with an imperative, say it quickly, say it quickly. The senior master responds, even if I may say it, there's no relation at all. Words can't say it. The editor of that koan collection, another great master, adds the comment here. Say something anyway. It's day 6 of this retreat. We're thoroughly immersed. There's nothing left to say. Say something anyway. Today, with gratitude for the ancestors and for this rich tradition that nevertheless makes rich use of words, I'd like to look at a koan that resonates with the case Henry brought to life yesterday. Just as a reminder, in case it's just floating around, as it was for me as I kept company with this case. It's from yesterday. A monk comes asking, what is the essential body of Vairochana Buddha? Henry unpacked that question. The national teacher said, pass me the water jug. Put it back. And then the old Buddha is long gone. End of that case. So for today, this is case 26 of the Blue Cliff Record, or Hekiganroku, Hyakujo on Dayu Peak, sometimes titled Sitting Alone on Great Sublime Peak. Here's the case. A monk asked Hyakujo, what is the matter of extraordinary wonder? Hyakujo said, sitting alone on Dayu Peak. The monk made a deep bow. Hyakujo thereupon hit him. So this Hyakujo, his lifespan overlaps with the national teacher Chu from yesterday, but it was about a generation later, 720 to 814, 94 years old. He's one of the foremost Dharma successors of great Master Baso, and a Dharma brother of Nansen, teacher of Joshu. Such a profusion, this lineage of vitality and clarity, all coming down to us right here in this Zendo. This cloud, this boundless and unrepeatable moment. There are a couple of recorded stories around Hyakujo's awakening. One day he's out with Baso, they're walking, and a formation of wild ducks flies overhead. And Baso asks Hyakujo about this. What is that? Hyakujo says, it's a wild duck. And Baso asks, where did it go? And Hyakujo says, it's flown away. So Baso then grabs Hyakujo's nose and tweaks it pretty hard. He cries out in pain. And Baso said, how could it ever fly away? Where could it go? What's that pain? What's that cry? What's that nose on your face? The record says Hyakujo had some experience. And then, after 20 more years of practice there with Baso, Hyakujo goes to Dokusan to this interview with the teacher, face to face. He says something, just trying to present, to convey this world. And he's sent away. So he goes again, and he starts to say something, and Baso shouts. One blast. Everything falls. Hyakujo is gone. It's said he was deaf for 3 days. Who hears? That shout, this light on the floor here, this message that the internet is unstable. It's right here. Where could it go? So Hyakujo's teaching, very influential. It's focus trained on Bodhidharma Zen, turning the light around and shining it inward. But he's also convinced, this Hyakujo, of what some have called the profound ethical implications of this practice. Hyakujo is known as the master who establishes the forms for monastic life in China. So the tradition inherited from India had been that monks didn't work. They lived by alms, relying for meals on what was put in their begging bowls, and for support on patronage. But under Hyakujo, work became part of daily practice, just as it is part of a daily sesshin or retreat. So the monks' lives were a little bit more like ordinary life, lived simply. They grew their own food, and monasteries moved closer to being self-sufficient. Less patronage, more chance to live those ethical implications. So Hyakujo famously said, a day without work is a day without food. Makes me think of our beautiful gata, the verse we recite before each meal. This gratitude, this receiving, and this offering of ourselves. Speaking to that question from yesterday about Zen and ethics, I think Hyakujo would say this practice matters in and of itself. We sit for the awakening of the whole world. In it, as it, for it. But Hyakujo would say this sitting also matters for the way we live in the world. I think most of us would say that. In one record of his teaching, Hyakujo says, one should only practice. One should only practice in the present, without views of Buddha, nirvana, and so on, and without any ideas about existence or non-existence, and so on, without views about views. That's a kernel of his teaching. Without views, and without views about views. Sounds so familiar. The head we put on top of our head. The views we project and then shore up with other views. The stories we identify with, the certainties we hold. One should only practice in the present. Where else? But oh, we do wander. All those side trips. Each one an opportunity for returning. Just notice. Noticing and coming home. In the present. No certain view blocking off other views. No fixed perspective. Actually, how could a perspective be fixed? There's nothing to shore it up against. This, one existence, even what seems to be a fixed perspective, is simply an expression of it. Actually, it's so free. Nothing to compare. And then, here's Dogen puts it, infinite possibilities. That freedom. Joshu had a similar teaching. A monk asked Joshu, Master, where do you rest your mind? What do you do with your mind when you're sitting or standing, walking, lying down? Where do you rest your mind? Joshu says, where there is no design. The Chinese characters for no design could be the same as no fear. Mu yi. There's that line from the Heart Sutra. No hindrance of mind, therefore no fear. No fear, no hindrance, no design, no I, no possibility of a divide, no faculty of separation. Sylvia Ostertag, this wonderful Roshi we've been hearing about a bit these days, called this no design or no I the space of the unconditioned. Master Wanshi points to that space in his teaching. Wander into the center of the circle of wonder. I love that line. The center, right where you are, right there in our wandering. No design. Our Shinjin Mei verse says, no picking or choosing, no like or dislike, no basis for judging. This oneness without condition, unconditional. This, our Roshi calls it uncompromising oneness, this entirety. Is this what the monk is seeking when he asks Hyakujo, what is a matter of extraordinary wonder? What is a matter of extraordinary wonder? What is the most extraordinary discovery? What is the way? What is the meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West? What is of ultimate value? What is the great truth of my life, of this world? What goes beyond knowing, beyond having or not having, beyond life and death? Like the question put to Joshu, does a dog have Buddha nature? This monk's question presents the very thing he seeks. Exactly what he asks. What is a matter of extraordinary wonder? Or just what? Whatever you say, wherever you turn, there it is. You're turning itself. Joshu said, Mo. Mo. The national teacher said, pass me the water jug. Hyakujo says, sitting alone on Dayu Peak. Dayu, or Great Peak U, this sublime peak, is another name for Mount Hyakujo, the place of Hyakujo's monastery. Like saying, sitting here at Mountain Cloud. Sitting alone on Dayu Peak. The monk asks what seems to be a lofty question. What is extraordinary? The great matter? Hyakujo answers with what for him is most ordinary. Sitting on this mountain, sitting in the Zendo, sitting at home, computer nearby. That's it. But what is it? What is he showing, presenting? Might there be an echo of Basso's shout right there? Could this be a deafening sound for this monk if he hears it? Sitting alone on Dayu Peak. Ryon Roshi, our abbot, this master who's a very important guide, to say the least, he says about this case. I had a visit this morning. I mean, figuratively, Ryon Roshi said, when you're really sitting, looking at this world, there's nobody there. Who is sitting is a question of nonsense, he said. Still, we can ask that. Roshi went on, there is nobody sitting alone. So what is Hyakujo's answer? How does it make sense? Sitting alone. Alone. Great mountain. Alone. Just that sound. Roshi says this whole existence sitting by itself, just one sitting. It's not you sitting alone here. I am sitting alone. Wrong. Sitting alone. Great peak you. What is the extraordinary matter? Moo. The whole universe just going moo, sitting alone. One existence. Moo. Hyakujo sat in a solitary hermitage. He sat on a raised platform with several hundred monks assembled in front of him. Either way, alone. We could say, one all-pervading sitting. One emptiness, one entirety, and utterly intimate. A wonder. One longtime practitioner, it's been such a joy to get to know a little, worked her way well into the koans, and then decided on her own to go back to Mu. So helpful to be that honest, just to follow that inner inclination. So sitting in an online sesshin, deep into Mu, alone, fell on her. Such a release. Alone. No boundary. Where could it be? Where could it be? As she was sitting, she said, this koan came to mind. sitting alone on Daiyu Peak. When we met, she laughed and said, "I used to think that was just about sitting." In a way, it is just about sitting. Exactly what sitting is. Sitting, standing, laughing, crying. The extraordinary wonder of our ordinary life. Intrinsically whole and empty. There is no other emptiness than this. 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 Dogen has a short Dharma Hall discourse where he talks about this case. I won't share it all, but it's pretty wonderful. Dogen writes, excuse me, "I remember that a monk asked Zen master Hyakujo, 'What is the matter of extraordinary wonder?' Hyakujo said, 'Sitting alone on Great U Peak.' Dogen writes, 'My late teacher Rujing said, if someone asks the venerable monk Rujing this question,' Rujing, this great Chinese master, is so important to Dogen. Rujing says, if someone asks me this question, I would simply reply, what special wonder is there? Ultimately, what is it? I moved my bowls from one temple to another and ate rice." That's how Rujing puts it. Dogen appreciates that response, and then he offers his own. Asks the question, takes up his staff, this staff of Daibutsu, that's calling himself this great Buddha, stands upright in Japan. He pounds the staff and descends the platform. There's your sitting. That's it. No equation. Stick, staff. Long sitting nearing the end. I moved my bowls from one temple to another and ate rice. The monk hears Hyakujo's response and makes a deep bow. Does he suddenly see the wonder? Does he fall into it? This wide open, fallen away world. This world, right here. Does he present it eye to eye? Thank you, Master. Hyakujo hits him. Some say Hyakujo's hitting is saying, not yet, not enough. Others see this hitting as high praise, or maybe Hyakujo is just wiping it all away. The old Buddha is long gone. But this is koan territory. It's not about interpretation. Whack! There's Diu Peak. Whack! There is the matter of extraordinary wonder. Whack! Extraordinary wonder and compassion. One teacher likens this hitting to a great Amen. Amen. Truly, it is so, or just this. Yamada Koen Roshi describes Hyakujo's hitting as the bang putting an end to the koan. It calls to mind for him a vision of the funeral process in the Soto Zen sect, where different percussion instruments are played. Koen Roshi writes, "What is the matter of extraordinary wonder? The clang of the clappers, sitting alone on Diu Peak. Ting! The small bell. A deep bow, dong! And the blow, bang!" Koen Roshi says, there's no meaning to any of these. It's nothing but the manifestation of the matter of extraordinary wonder. That activity. Ting, dong, bang. This matter of extraordinary wonder is you. It's you. Empty and beloved. So I'd like to end with a poem by the American author Marie Howe. She calls this Annunciation. Annunciation is a kind of claim on us. That's how I see it, an illumining. So here's her poem. Even if I don't see it again, nor ever feel it, I know it is. And that if once it hailed me, it ever does. And so it is myself I want to turn in that direction, not as toward a place, but it was a tilting within myself, as one turns a mirror to flash the light to where it isn't. I was blinded like that and swam in what shone on me, only able to endure it by being no one, and so specifically myself. I thought I'd die from being loved like that. We are soaking in that love. Native, original, and without end. Thank you. Thank you for this shared practice.